Hello. Hello. I was
Hello,
wondering when I
Kate.
was going to appear. Nice to see you, everybody. Hope you can hear me okay and there's no strange echo.
Great, thank you. And how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's 7 o'clock here in Australia, so a little bit late, but I'm still with it. I've had lots of coffee, so I should be good.
Okay, great. And let me introduce you a little bit. Kate is an award winning misfit entrepreneur who works with small businesses and big brands to transform their online presence through powerful SEO, captivating content, and all the right digital marketing moves. Kate runs Australia's only dedicated copywriting conference, CopyCon, and was named Businesswoman of the Year and Training and Educational Provider of the Year at the National My Business Awards. Her philosophy is simple: no false promises or get rich quick schemes. Kate gives practical, doable advice that even the smallest of businesses can implement. And I had a look at her presentation for today, and it's like a comprehensive guide, but no spoilers yet. Kate, you are very welcome. I'm happy to have you here. The mic is yours now.
Okay, well, let's get stuck in. Hello, everybody. So that was a great introduction. I should add that I run Australia's probably best known SEO course, The Recipe for SEO Success. I have a podcast called The Recipe for SEO Success. And that means I'm very blessed to have spoken to probably 200 or so SEO experts over the years about all manner of topics. And I've had several episodes recently about how to write SEO friendly content and the recent updates, which, blooming Google keeps on changing things every 5 minutes. So today, yes, this is quite a packed presentation, but I assume you're going to get a replay. So if there's any bits you need to watch back, you can later. I will do my best to talk slowly and clearly, but I do get a little bit excited about SEO. I know that makes me a weirdo. So if I speed up, just tell me in the chat and I will slow down again. So we're talking today about how to write truly friendly, helpful SEO copy. But I get a lot of criticism from copywriters and sales copywriters and other copywriters saying SEO ruins copy. It ruins conversational copy. It ruins conversion copy. You don't need to use keywords anymore. Google will work it out. SEO copy is boring copy. So there's common misperception that if you try to write SEO friendly copy, it's going to be dull. It's not going to be salesy enough, and it's not going to be conversational. It's not going to be enjoyable. And today I want to make it clear that all of that is not true. SEO copy is even more important than it's ever been. Yes, Google is getting smarter and smarter at interpreting how we write and what it means. But that means we need to become better writers because the old tricks, the keyword stuffing, the dodgy copy, Google can see through that. Humans have always been able to see it. I can tell a piece of copy that's been written to kind of squeeze in the maximum amount of keywords a million miles away, and so can your readers. The issue is now Google can too. So we actually have to be better writers the better the algorithm gets. So, what is SEO writing? Just to go right back to basics, I'm sure most of you know, but it's good to refresh this. It's the idea of SEO writing is creating content with the goal of ranking in search engines for relevant keywords. Yes, Google's smart, but at the end of the day, it's always going to need to connect what people type into search engines with what's on the page. So there's a difference between content writing and copywriting. So content writing is generally, in answering that informational intent. It's educational, it's entertainment, it's problem solving. So it lends itself more to things like blogs, video scripts, things that inform us, things that help us know things. SEO copywriting and copywriting in general is about making people take action. And generally, that action online is to make a sale, whether that's of a product or a service. So, really, that answers the conversion intent. It's about converting traffic to leads, it's about persuading, explaining, and selling. So, that lends itself more to sales pages, product pages, and services pages. So, there is a bit of a difference. Both of them are needed by businesses, both of them ultimately lead to the sale. But obviously, informational intent content isn't so direct about the selling, whereas conversion intent content is sell, sell, sell. So let's go through some basics. Hopefully, you know most of these, but we'll cover them off fairly quickly just for the brand newbies on the call. So, the first thing we need to do when we're thinking about writing anything, whether it's for online or print, God forbid, or a TV commercial, is we need to think about our audience. So, let's imagine Clive. Clive is 66. He lives in Sydney. He drives a Volvo. He has a dog called Alan. What do we know from Clive, from his demographics? Not very much. Knowing Clive's age, his gender, and his marital status is not going to help us write great SEO content. What we really need to know is what is Clive typing into Google? When Clive wakes up at 3 a.m. in the morning, what is he worrying about? What is he Googling in the dark of the night? If we can get that right, we will get Clive, right? We will understand who he is and we'll be able to give him content that he wants. I like to call this the CGF, the Clive Google factor. So it's about moving beyond obvious, boring demographics and getting insights into who this person really is, what keeps them up at night. Another way of breaking this down, hello, Anna. Another way of breaking this down is the BDF methodology. Now, this is a copywriting classic, right? So, BDF stands for preconceived beliefs, deepest desires, and darkest fears. This is how we get the real insight into what people are Googling. So, let's take an example, for example. What is an example for an example? If someone was Googling lawyer, divorce lawyer, what would be some preconceived beliefs they might have about a lawyer, right? Well, they might think that they're going to be really expensive, that they're going to talk in legalese, that they're going to rack up hours, that it's going to take years and years to resolve the case. Those are preconceived beliefs about lawyers. Their deepest desires are that they resolve this quickly and efficiently. Their darkest fears is that they are going to be in the court of this is yours and that's mine for the next 10 years. So if we think about that, how does that change the way someone searches? It means they're not searching for divorce lawyer New York. They're searching for affordable divorce lawyer New York, affable divorce lawyer New York, plain English speaking divorce lawyer New York, right? It changes the modifiers around the words that we search. And therefore, we need to use those modifiers in our copy. We also need to think about where people are in the marketing funnel, right? Are they top of funnel, middle of funnel, or bottom of funnel? Okay, so top of funnel people, they don't know much about us. Yeah, they're probably not doing branded searches or product searches. They're asking big, hairy questions. Yeah, you know, how do I hire a lawyer? You know, it's that informational content. Middle of funnel people, they know they have a problem and they know there's a solution, right? So they're more in the realm of looking for divorce lawyer New York, affordable divorce lawyer New York. Bottom of funnel people, they know who they want and what they want, right? So they are maybe typing in the name of a particular legal company or in the name of a particular lawyer. So where people are in the funnel and their level of awareness changes the way they search as well. So you have to ask the question, not just who is searching for this product, how are they searching for it, but what does the audience know about the product already? And what do they need to know, right? Are they right at the start of their journey? If so, they're going to need a lot more informational content to build up trust in a relationship. Or are they ready to buy right now? And if they are, they need conversion content, yeah, that has the price, what's included, how you get it, go, go, go. So what do they need to know? So this brings us back into searcher intent, right? 101 SEO stuff. We know there's transactional intent. I want to buy something. Informational intent. I want to know something. Investigational intent. I want to compare A with B. And navigational intent is the easiest one. I simply want to get to this spot on the internet. So we have to think about where people are with their intent as well, because obviously we know if I'm searching for piglet jumpers, I'm going to come back with a ream of results. As soon as I put the word buy piglet jumpers, the whole search engine results page changes. As soon as I type the words, how do I make piglet jumpers? It changes again. I'm getting videos and blogs. So thinking about intent is crucial when we are writing content. So let's talk about keywords. These days, people say keywords don't matter. I think they still kind of do. And that's why tools like Serpstat exist, right? To help us find the right keyword phrases. We all know that these days, and pretty much always, the real money, the real gold is in the long tail keywords. Because we just can't compete for the short keywords. There's too much competition. Yes, there's volume, but that volume's all over the place. They don't know what they want. So the longer and more descriptive the keyword phrase we go for, yes, the volume of searches goes down, but so does the competition. But what goes up is the probability of conversion. If I type in shoes into the internet, what am I doing? I'm going to get millions of results. I don't know what I want. I'm much more likely to type in, blue shoes, size 6, women's with sparkles on them. If you then return a result from your site for that, I'm going to buy it, right? I know exactly what I want. And we all know that we'd rather add more words to our search query than ever go to page 2 of the search results. You literally have to drag me kicking and screaming to page 2 of the search results. I don't even like to scroll. So if I don't get what I want in the first few results, I would actually add more terms into my keyword search so that I'm being more precise and hopefully will get what I want. We also, on top of thinking about who Clive is, what he's worried about, what his intent is, where he is in the funnel, what does he know about the product, we have to think about how keen he is. That's specificity, right? So if I'm not very keen, I might just be typing in Ford truck parts. Yeah, I don't know exactly what I want. I'm kind of looking around. I'm not sure yet. If I'm a bit more keen, I'm typing in Ford truck crew cab accessories because I'm a good bit clearer. If I am ready to buy, I'm literally typing in the exact name of what I want. Ford F1 150 pickup FF. I don't know anything about Ford trucks, but that's what I would be typing in. So you see how the specificity increases as we get clearer on the readiness to convert. Yeah. So again, specificity is everything in copy and it's everything in SEO. Now, of course, keyword research is a whole ream of stuff. We're not going to have time to go through that today. There's great training on Serpstat to find out more. You're going to brainstorm. You're going to look at quality, the intent, the brand awareness, also seasonality. You're going to look at volume, competition. You're going to see what's already out there. And you're going to assess what content you already have that's ranking. You don't want to undo all the good work you've already done. You're going to make sure that the content you put out there matches your business goals. Any SEO expert can get you to number 1 for some random keyword, but it's not about ranking for any keyword. It's about ranking for keyword phrases that convert. So, what are your business goals? And what is the ROI? If you can get to position 1 or 2 or 3 for this keyword, how much money is this going to make you month on month on month, over year? That then dictates how much budget you can spend creating a piece of content to get that ranking spot and building the backlinks to promote it. After you've done all this research, you're going to end up with your focus keywords and your synonyms. And it really is about focus. Gone are the days where you literally go, I'm going to use 7% density. I don't think there ever really was a day about that. As long as you're clear what you're writing about, who it serves, and what someone would type into a search engine to find this piece of content, you're probably going to write pretty good SEO content anyway. The problem comes when you try to over-engineer it, overthink it. Think about using keywords 11% of the time. It doesn't work like that. It never did. You have to write naturally and write with focus. So yes, we're going to be thinking about relevancy, volume, ease, and conversion. Is the piece of content relevant to your business? Is it going to deliver a volume of traffic? Is it going to be easy to enjoy? And is it going to generate conversions? Synonyms, it's about grouping keywords together. So yes, you've chosen this focus keyword as the hero. You're going to go for that one, use it in your title tag, really push for it. But you don't want to repeat it again and again and again. So you're going to come up with similar phrases that people would be happy with. Someone typing in good copywriter Sydney is going to be happy if they come to a page that's talking about the best copywriter in Sydney. You don't need to write a different piece of content for every single keyword. Now, I know these are basics, but I still get SEO agencies coming to copywriters saying, we want one page for this, and one page for this, and one page for this. And you look at them, and they're essentially the same keyword. It's not going to work. Okay. We want to think about quality, not quantity. Okay. So once we've got our keywords, we're going to consolidate, we're going to group them by intent, we're going to group them by focus keywords and synonyms, and we're going to assign them to pages. So this is, many copywriters will get delivered spreadsheets like this from SEO agencies, or if you're doing your own keyword research, you'd produce something like this yourself. So you're saying these keywords belong to this page, and we're kind of, of course, we're going to use them on other pages, but this is our do or die page for these particular phrases. So I can see a question from Vladislav, how to force a content to write an SEO article. I'm prepared all possible topics for them, some drafts to proceed, but they are not writing. It's hard, right? I think you have to really explain the benefit and the value. I think you have to go through the process of showing them those statistics. Clients love data, right? So if you say, if you write this article, I think you can get this much traffic to your site. I think you can get this click-through rate and this much traffic. And with the traffic you're getting, you're currently converting at about 3%. So if I bring you 1,000 more visitors, how many more sales are you going to make, right? It's pretty easy maths. So I think you go back to the data with them and back to the money, right? Because so often SEO people come in and say, I can get you to number 2 in the search results. As a business owner, it's like, I don't care. How does that impact my bottom line? How are you going to make me more money? I'm making this much at the moment. How is SEO going to make me more money? That's the question people really want to ask. I'll come back to more questions at the end. We'll keep on going. I just want to talk about structure of copy because this is really underestimated. Now, this is a little bit old school, but from my experience, it still works. Once you've chosen that focus keyword, you want to be using it in your title tag, front ending it. You want to be using it in your URL if possible, your page header, your H1, and your first 100 words. Then you might want to use it in your meta description. We know Google doesn't use meta descriptions for ranking, purely helps for click-through. You might want to use it in your image alt tag and in your image file name. You might want to use some synonyms in your subheaders. You might want to bold it once or twice, but you don't need to use it any more than that, right? We don't need to shoehorn keywords into every sentence. Yeah, the more you use keywords, you start using them, great. You've got to improve your chances of ranking. You keep using them, it plateaus. You keep using them, you're going to get keyword stuffing, and that could actually de-rank you. When we're structuring our copy, we need to break it into little chunks, okay? Little chunks with subheaders, paragraph, subheader, paragraph. People don't read content online like they read content in print. They scavenge around the page looking for little bits that they want to read. They don't read from top to bottom. It just doesn't happen, right? So make sure that you really signpost what each paragraph is about. You use white space and images to really help have a lovely reading experience. Yeah. Maybe have a table of contents at the top of your blog post, break things into chunks, use subheaders, change formats, have some quotes, have images, rich media, bulleted lists, and bolding keywords, right? So really try and make the experience look, you've been to a site and there's just one big chunk of copy, one massive paragraph. It feels intimidating. It feels inaccessible. So break up your copy into a decent structure. Now, we know that Google rewrites page titles and meta descriptions when it feels like it, but the reports that I've seen say it's usually about 20% of the time. A little report came out yesterday saying that now on mobile, Google's just not using your title tag at all. If someone's done a branded search, it's using your site name. So Google's always fiddling with titles and metas. You can't control that. You just have to do your best effort and also look at what Google's changed it to. Did you do a good job? Is what Google has rewritten it as a better piece of copy than you wrote? The biggest problem I see is that people just don't fill in the title tag and the meta description. It's just blank. And if you leave it like that, Google's going to pick something completely random and it won't be compelling. Remember that the title tag and your meta description are usually the first piece of copy someone has ever read about your brand or service. They've never heard of you before. It's the first time they hear about you. So make it good. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. So a question about length, right? How long should copy be? It's a classic question. There is no magic word count. So I've had John Mueller from Google on the podcast several times, and he's like, write as much as you need to write. If you're writing a blog post on how to boil an egg, it could be 3 sentences. If you're writing a comprehensive guide on how to wash your corgi, it could be 4,000 words, right? So as long as you are answering the question as fully as you need to, that's enough. We're going to come on to this a bit more later. Now, obviously, longer copy performs better, right? We know this. Copy that's 2,000, 3,000 words tends to rank better, get more links, get more shares. But you don't want to be writing copy that feels like too little butter scraped over too much bread. You know, when you're really struggling to force out another paragraph, you've got nothing left to say, but you promised you'd do 3,000 words. Stop. Okay, stop. If you can't get to 2,000 words easily, maybe take a look at the topic you're writing about. Is it actually relevant? Do you have enough to say? Do you maybe need to combine a few topics together? So don't write long copy for the sake of it. That's what I wanted to say. Let's talk about readability, and we'll finish this section and then I'll come to the Q&A. So readability is huge, huge. I believe it's kind of a ranking factor, but we can argue about that later. So readability is obviously how easy is it to read your content? And really, they say that these days you should be writing to the level of about a 13-year-old school kid, right? Pretty young. Why is that? Because when we're reading on our mobile, we're at the shops, our kids screaming. We can't be reading long, complex sentences with 15 adverbs and 72 adjectives. Get to the point. Remember that people have shorter attention spans online. Also, that people might not be reading in their first language. Maybe you've written in English and English isn't their first language. So, having lots of jokes and idioms and insider terms is just going to go right over people's heads. So there's a great tool that I use. I mean, a lot of the tools have readability tools, but I love Hemingway app. It highlights bad copy and gives you your reading age. It talks about long sentences, passive voice, and it's really easy to just quickly correct what it recommends and then cut and paste that copy into your site. So consider readability. Short sentences, short paragraphs, and if in doubt, read it out loud. If you're running out of breath by the time you get to the end of a sentence, it's too long. Okay. If you're tripping over semicolons and adjectives, take them out. Okay. Plain, simple English is always going to win. Clarity over creativity. Okay. So before we jump into the algorithm and the different algorithm updates that have impacted SEO copy, let me have a look at a couple of the questions. So what are the most effective ways to learn SEO content writing? How long does it take to become a good copywriter? Well, I'm probably not allowed to say this, but that's what my course teaches, how to be a great SEO copywriter. So maybe the guys will let me share my little course. It's called SEO Nibbles. You can start that. Nibbles, Nibbles. And how long does it take to become good? Well, it depends how much you do. Probably anything you write, conscious of what you've learned today, is going to be better than a busy business owner can produce. I'd say that most copywriters really get into their rhythm after 2 to 3 years. That's my opinion. Would you say this also applies for services as for concrete products? Yes, Jussie, I think it does. Same tactics apply. Obviously, just product descriptions are very much more focused, and service pages are going to be a bit more salesy. They're going to have proof and samples and a bit more content. What characteristics should good SEO content for e-commerce have? So I actually have a little template for this in my shop. I think with e-commerce product descriptions, you need to cover off who, when, why, what, where. So who would buy this product? Why would they buy it? When would they use it? How would they feel when they use it, right? So really descriptive little paragraphs about the product. Most people go straight into the features of the product. Oh, this is a pen, it's white, it writes in blue ink. Who cares, right? That's not going to sell it to me. So you need to move from features to benefits, and you need to tell me a story. You need to tell me why this is the best pen in the world. Maybe it was used by, I don't know, President Obama to sign the Declaration of, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Tell me a story, make me want it. Okay. I'm going to move on. Let's talk about algorithms because there's nothing more fun than an algorithm. So, you've probably heard of the different algorithm updates. Hummingbird, you all heard of that one? That was all about user intent. So, we talked about that earlier. Google got really much better at not just understanding what we were searching for, but why we were searching for it. Okay. So it understands the reason, or it makes a good guess at why we're searching for it. And the truth is, sometimes you don't even have to use a modifier like buy or price or affordable. Google just looks at its huge database and goes, most people searching for this want to buy something. So we're going to show you shopping results. Okay. So Hummingbird was all about intent. It happened in 2013. Oh my God, I was only 6 years old back then. It moved the searches from what to why. It really was the preemptor for conversational search, talking to devices. And it kind of brought in voice search. It made voice search possible. Then we had Google Eat. Now, this may not seem like a copywriting update, but it really was, because it was all about establishing whether the content was written by a good source of truth, whether the writer had expertise, authority, and deserved our trust. It seemed to hit lots of medical sites. So some people call it the Google Medic update. Happened in 2018. It really wasn't an update. It was more of a principle. And it was basically saying, if I'm going to read an article about cancer, I want it to be written by a doctor, not some bloke called Bob in his garage, right? I want to be sure that the best results in Google are written by authoritative sources that have good data. So that's what it was all about. And it generally affected news, legal, finance, medical, and online shopping. But really, generally, things where you need to get the right advice. It's not a matter of opinion. Okay. It's not subjective, it's definitive. So that was Google Eat. So asking yourself the question next time you're putting together a blog post, how knowledgeable am I on this subject matter? How credible is this website? How trustworthy is this website? Because if you're not a credible source, Google's not going to rank that content either anyway. So if you're not a credible source, find some credible sources and include them in your article. Quote a doctor, quote a legal expert. Don't just write it from your perspective. Then there was Bert. This is Bert and Ernie. Have you heard of Bert and Ernie? Sesame Street? Or is that just me? Anyway, BERT. Google BERT. It stands for Bidirectional Encoder Representations for Transformers. Google is terrible at naming things. So this was in 2019, and this was a natural linguistic programming update. So what it meant was Google was getting better at understanding the nuance of how we write. That one preposition can change the whole meaning of a sentence. Who is this sentence about? If you write a sentence like, he gave this to her and then she gave it back to him, who is the subject of that sentence? It'd be impossible for Google to work that out. But meant it got a lot better. So it got a lot better at understanding longer conversational queries and the impact of prepositions and pronouns. So it's getting more sophisticated at understanding what we're writing. So here's an example. If you typed in, back then, if you typed in 2019, Brazil traveler to USA need a visa, the old Google would have sent you to this site. Can US citizens travel to Brazil without a visa? The next, after Bert, it understood that this person actually needs a visa. It's not saying, do they need a visa? I actually want to get a visa. And so it takes them now straight to the US Embassy where they can apply for a visa. So it changes the deeper understanding of not just why people are searching, but how they've structured their sentence. More recently, we had Google Mum. So Google Mum stands for Multitask Unified Model. This is June 2021. It's 1,000 times more powerful evolution of BERT. So it has a deep understanding of world knowledge. It's trained in 75 languages. It should understand text, images, audio, and videos. It's a bit of a game changer. It's still fully rolling out. We don't understand the full impact of it, but it just means that Google is almost at a human level of understanding, which is kind of terrifying, right? So then this one you might have heard about, the May 2022 Google Core Update. And this might be why Serpstat asked me to talk, because it was called the Google Helpful Update, the Google Friendly Update. And a lot of people thought it was about attacking AI content. It wasn't, right? It was about trying to make content more useful. So what did it do? And this is what we're really focusing on today, right? If you're going to put together an article, don't just put it together because some SEO agency has come up with an Excel spreadsheet of keywords and said, let's write this. Can you actually offer some value? Can you actually be useful? Will I finish your article and not need to read another article? Right? Is it genuinely useful, or is it just another long, stupid blog on the internet? I think there's a blog produced every 0.00002 seconds. Do you really want to be contributing to the noise, or do you want to be useful to your customers? The other part of the algorithm was that you should stay on topic. If you've always, do you know who Rick Astley is? I think some of these references might be a little bit British. I do apologize. If you've always written articles about Rick Astley, and then all of a sudden you start writing articles about Asian cooking, Google's going to go, hang on, we got 642 articles about Rick Astley and one article about Asian cooking. What is going on? This person was an authoritative source for Rick Astley. This new article, we don't really know what to do with it. So stay on topic. Just because you can write about anything doesn't mean you should. Is it relevant? Does it serve your audience? Is it useful? Does it match their intent? And is it going to lead to a conversion? Okay. I wrote a blog post about how to write a haiku about 9 years ago. I think it still ranks number 2. I don't write haikus. I'm never going to make any money out of that post. Why did I write it? Because I didn't know anything back then. Be an expert. So this, plays back into that EAT idea. If you are going to write an article on a topic and go to some depth, you need to have some skin in the game, right? You need to have some experience. It doesn't mean you need a degree from the University of blah, blah. It could simply be you talking about your experience of the topic. If you're going to write about the best pizza restaurant in London, you don't need to be a pizza chef. You don't even need to be a doctor of pizzas from the University of Edinburgh. But you do need to have gone to the restaurant. You do need to be able to describe the taste. You do need to say you've eaten pizza all your life. And what did it feel like when you walked in? And how cheesy was the cheese? Okay. So be an expert on the topic. Don't just, compile someone else's article and slap them together and spit it out there. Have some personal experience to show as well. Be complete. So this is why longer articles work better, right? I don't think you can write a decent blog post in 300 words, 500 words. What are you really adding? If you write a 4,000 word, a 5,000 words, that might be something I'm going to link to, I'm going to bookmark, I'm going to save, I'm going to share with my friends. Make it so complete that I don't need to read another article. You've probably heard of Brian Dean. He has something like 10 articles on his website. They're massive. They're huge. They're so long that you would never need to read another article. And you don't. You read his and it's definitive, right? And he doesn't need 700 articles. He only needs 10 or so really complete articles. So be complete. Go beyond the obvious, right? So many blog posts and pieces of content I see are just regurgitations of other people's content. There is nothing wrong with skyscrapering, looking at the top 3 posts, writing, gathering them together, but you have to add something more. Yeah, you have to have an insight or a statistic or a little known fact that nobody else has, something that makes your content stand out. And consider the user experience. We talked about spacing and subheaders and readability, but also consider accessibility. Do you offer alternative media sources? If it's a video, do you offer a transcript? Do you use a plugin on your site like Useway that enables me to change the contrast of the copy, to widen the gaps between the sentences? If you have dyslexia, reading copy on screen can be really hard, and there are tools out there that will make it more readable. I think that accessibility is going to be the next big update from Google, making content more accessible for people with hearing difficulties, seeing difficulties, and reading difficulties. So think about that next time you publish. I got ahead of myself. That was my slide for that. Consider accessibility. Decide your goals and your key performance indicators before you write. What do you want this piece of content to do? Whether it is a product description, a service page, a blog post, what is the next step? How will you measure its success? It can't just be ranking, right? It can't just be ranking because you're not fully in control of that. Maybe it's going to be time on page. Maybe it's going to be user actions on the page. Maybe it's going to be the number of comments, the number of shares, the amount of engagement, the number of pages viewed. Whatever it is, you need to decide those metrics. If you come into a business and at the moment people are staying on their site for less than a second, you can offer them a metric to say that we're going to write content so great, we're going to keep people on your site for 5, for 10 minutes, right? The longer that someone's on your site, the more likely they are to convert. So think about the metrics you're going to measure your success with. So we'll finish up with some final tips. I'm just checking the time and then I will answer all the questions. Okay, I think I'm doing okay for time. Yes, I am. Okay, let's go through the final tips. Measurement is super important. And as I mentioned at the beginning, just going with ranking, it's meaningless. Yeah, we all want to rank number one, of course, because number one is best. But what difference is that going to make to my business? I rank for number one for a lot of keywords that don't really deliver any money to my business. They deliver traffic, but often it's the wrong kind of traffic that is not going to serve me. Okay. So, what is the piece of content going to do? Is it about building brand awareness? Are you trying to generate leads? Trying to get email subscribers? Improve your ranking? Or improve your click through rate? I've done a lot of work recently with clients, just helping them optimize their search engine results. Yeah. So changing their title tags and meta descriptions. They're not moving in the rankings at all, but they're getting more clicks from the same ranking position because the content is more compelling. Are you trying to just wholesale increase traffic and hoping that the more traffic you push at the site, the more people will convert? Are you trying to get more new traffic or repeat traffic, more top of funnel clients or more bottom of funnel clients? Are you trying to increase the time on page? Are you trying to get people to look at more pages? Are you trying to get more shares and likes on social media, more comments and engagement? Or are you trying to write pieces that are so authoritative that other people share them and give you backlinks? What are your goals? It can't be everything, right? One piece of content probably isn't going to tick all those boxes unless it's amazing. So, what are your metrics? How are you going to measure your success? And then here's the process, right? Don't worry, I will get to the questions. When I'm writing, this is my process. I do my keyword research. I choose my keyword, my focus keyword based on relevancy, volume, how easy it is going to be to rank, and whether it's going to deliver conversions. I look at what's already ranking and I look at the length of that content, how relevant it is. Did Google just pick it because there was nothing better? I look at the content types that are performing well in those top spots. Maybe it's not even copy, maybe it's videos. Can I make it better? If I can't make it better, if I can't do a better job than what's already there, I need to scrap it because I'm not going to win that battle. Then, if I can win, I go on to write it, and I write it based on searcher intent. Am I writing a piece of conversion or transactional content, informational or investigational? I map out the structure. So I don't start writing until I've worked out, what my title is going to be, what my meta is going to be, what my key points are. Maybe I want to make 10 points. I'm going to have 10 paragraphs. Where am I going to have images? Where am I going to have videos? What statistics do I have? What sources do I have? What can I link to? What can I add to the article? Once I've mapped out that structure, then I can start writing. And I need to make sure that what I'm writing is in depth, original, it has analysis and thoughts, not just facts. So I can say, 22% of people do this. So what? What does that mean? I have to analyze those statistics. I make sure I've got some expert information in there. And then I really check my grammar, my spelling, my readability, and my accessibility. Does it look good? Is it an enjoyable experience? Now, Serpstat is great. It's got all these amazing tools to help you come up with FAQs. These FAQs are great, but they could also be blog posts. How do I learn SEO copywriting? What is SEO copywriting services? They could each be short FAQs, but those could each be really long and comprehensive articles. Or you could do SEO copywriting, the ultimate guide, and answer every single one of those questions, right? So finding questions that people are asking out there is crucial because you want to answer them, right? Google these days is less of a search engine and more of an answer engine, if you think about it. Great tool again for checking your grammar and spelling. We all think we can spell, we all think we have good grammar, but we don't. So make sure you check it. There's lots of other tools in Serpstat that you can check out to really help you improve your content writing, and some of those free ones as well, like Hemingway app. Grammarly ain't bad either. So before we finish up, I just really want to talk about headlines because I promised that I would. Headlines are so important, right? They literally are the reason someone's clicking through. You don't want them to be clickbaity, but they need to be powerful. They need to sum up the content of your page. You need to keep them short. Short headlines perform better, 20 to 70 characters. Ideally, get your long tail keywords in there if you can. Make sure they're enticing and clickable, or make sure they're clear and practical. Okay, so often I'll do a H1 that's super sexy and clickbaity, and then a H2 that's super clear and practical. Use emotion in your headlines. Try and tap into those insights of Clive and his fears and his desires. What makes him happy? Think about love and fear and anger and hope, right? This is why we do things. Why do we want to learn this thing? Because we want to appear smart, because we want to make money, because we want people to love us. Yeah, go beyond the obvious and go to the end result. What makes it human and relevant? Numbers still work in headlines. 10 reasons to do this, 172 ways to do that. The number one way to do this, the 3 mistakes you're probably making. Numbers work. So use those. Make the benefit clear. What am I going to get from reading these articles? So, press releases, how to write them better and win 7 TV shows this week. Okay. Sell me the benefit with the headline. Try and focus on the positive, sorry. Negative works, fear works. Yeah, fear is more powerful than happiness, but it's not great to always be scaring your reader. It doesn't come off well. So try and focus on the positive. And I love this little free tool from the Advanced Marketing Institute. It's a headline analyzer, and it's going to give you all that analysis about, whether your headline is powerful and fun and all that kind of stuff. Okay, one final thing to talk about. When we're producing content, we really need to think about the pillars, clusters, and waterfalls approach, right? So this is for blog posts, right? You kind of want to have a pillar piece of content that is long and comprehensive and detailed and amazing, right? So maybe you are a mattress company. My friend Sarah uses this example. She works with a mattress company, and maybe their pillar piece of content is dealing with stains on your mattress. What a lovely example to use. So you're going to write this massive article all about stain treatment and whatever. A little article that comes off that could be a particular short question, like how to deal with dog wee stains on your mattress. Okay, it's going to be a shorter one. You got to write 4,000 words on dealing with dog wee, but you can write a shorter article, and that might rank for that particular question, and then they might lead them back to the cluster and then read other things. The waterfall is your social media. So you're going to pick some of your cluster articles and see which ones have legs for social media, legs for extra content. If you're going to do the dog wee article, that's a great social media post. Maybe you can make a video. Maybe you can make a how to. Maybe you can do a cute reel with a dog. Some posts are going to lend themselves to social media. When I'm writing a piece of content, a blog post, usually I'll allow about 8 hours to write the piece of content. And then I'll allow probably 4 times that to think of ways of repurposing that content. So for one piece of content, I generally try to write 30 days of social media posts. Crazy, right? And if I can't, maybe the piece of content wasn't comprehensive enough. Maybe it didn't have enough information in it. Maybe it wasn't helpful enough, didn't have enough expert advice. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's me. I could talk all night, as you can probably tell, but let's get into the Q&A. So the next question I can see, hello, Penny McKee, is what changes or features do you think will occur in SEO in the next 3 to 5 years? Honestly, Penny, your guess is as good as mine. I honestly wish they would just stop fiddling with it for a while. But as I mentioned, I think accessibility is going to be really big. I don't think we can think about, English speaking readers with perfect sight and perfect hearing and perfect literary skills reading our content. We need to consider all different types of audiences. I think they're going to bring in something to help us with that or encourages us. What is bad SEO content? What should we not do? Great question, Jordan. I think you know. when you've written bad content. I think you know when it's thin and useless and you just wrote it because you just wanted to write a piece of content because it's content time and you're like, oh my God, we need to put a blog out there. You have to remember that Google doesn't reward the most consistent content, the most regular content, or even the newest content. It rewards the best content. So if it feels thin and flimsy and like someone else could have written it, then that's probably bad. And keyword stuffing. Um, do we need do we need sorry, you am I all right to keep going, Elena? I can hear you typing in the background. I'll keep going. Vladislav, do we need selling content or we need to provide some answers about products? Look, Vladislav, I think if it's a blog post, you don't want to be too salesy, right? You want to help people. It's informational intent. So, if someone's asking, what's the best way to clean my windows, and you are a window cleaning product, you want to talk around the topic. You want to talk about how some people use newspaper and vinegar, some people do this, you can try this method or this method, and then maybe at the end you can bring in your method, or you can try out our products. Pretty great, but you don't want to overdo it. You want to give lots of options and maybe have yours there, and then if people are interested, they can click through to the product page, and that's where you do your hard sell. So I like to pepper my blogs with a little bit of selling, but I don't be too pushy because it's like an infomercial. You can tell when an article is really just trying to sell you something, and then it makes you feel like you can't trust the information. So don't sell so much that it erodes the trust factor of the article. Okay. I think that's it. I'm at the end of the questions. If anyone has any more, pop them in. Thank you, Elena.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Your presentation is great, full of actionable tips. Thank you again. And we also have questions from the Google form. So I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
So the first question is, how do you understand for a new business which keyword is right?
Well, I mean, I guess keyword research is a whole nother presentation, which I'm sure Elena could talk to you about. I think the first goal of any business is to be found for their own brand name. So, you're going to start off trying to write content that talks about you. You're going to be focusing on your homepage, your about page. After that, you're going to need to maybe look at some competitors. So, using tools and putting your competitors' URLs in, what are they ranking for? What keywords are they going after? That can be a great start to try and, at least meet the expectations that your competitors are getting, and then also find new goals. But the other thing is ask your customers. On my contact form, when I was a copywriter, I used to have a field that said, what did you type into Google to find my site? And they'd just done it, right? They'd just found me. So often they would type things in and it would be things I hadn't even optimized for. So, go out and ask people, use social media and say, we sell this. What would you type into Google to find us? You may get some answers that surprise you.
Great, thank you very much. And one more question. Do you use silo method and how to cover a topic with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the silo method is similar to my pillars and clusters. I just did a podcast about this. So, it's about creating little gangs of content that kind of support each other. So, my mattress example, talking about stains and then doing dog stains and doing coffee stains and soup stains and blood stains. Oh my God, it's a great blog post for murderers. But yes, trying to group content into little silos that all interlink with each other. I think that works. I think you need a bit of vision for that and a bit of strategy, because you're going to need to step back and work out what your silos are going to be. And then you're going to need to, explode those out and go, okay, here's my topic. What are my subtopics going to be? So I don't think I think that's great if you can sit down with a client and they're willing to sit down and do a content strategy like that. A lot of clients aren't. And they're just like, write me 5 blog posts. And you're like, okay. So if you can have that conversation, I think it's brilliant. But often smaller clients just don't get it and aren't willing to invest the time for the strategy. They just want to see the post. So it can be quite challenging, I think.
Okay, and the next question asked with the Google form. Can you please share some thoughts about GPT-3, Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3, and some commercial artificial intelligence tools that help write SEO-oriented content?
Okay, I can't speak to the first bit, so I'll talk about AI tools. The AI tool that I think is probably one of the best is Phrase. Phrase, Fraise. So that's a great tool. But again, Serpstat has similar tools that do the same thing. So I like to use AI content tools for ideas, for starting points. So something like Phrase you'll put in an article idea and it will come back with a rough structure and some points that you can make. I don't like tools that write the whole blog post. Okay, because no matter how good they are, they're not as good as we are yet. And you can kind of tell. So I think they're great for getting you started, for improving, giving you thought starters and ideas and helping you come up with a structure and finding relevant questions to answer. But I still think you need the human touch to go through and make the copy good. And as a copywriter, I know that it's harder to edit copy than it is to write copy from scratch. So if you pull I'm not pick Jarvis, for example, no disrespect to Jarvis, but if you pull an article out of Jarvis, it's okay, but then you kind of got to unpick it and go, well, that paragraph makes no sense. I've got to move that here. I've got to cut that out. It's a lot harder than just writing from bullet points. So I don't think AI tools are quite there yet. They're good for research and they're good for checking your content after it's done for grammar issues. But obviously, I'm a copywriter. I don't want to be out of a job. I still think we have our place. So I hope that answers the second part of the question.
Great, thank you very much. And the question from me, what was your favorite piece of SEO content you've ever seen? How would you describe it?
Well, can I pick one of my own? I think, one that really worked well for me, way back when SEO was so much easier, about 10 or 11 years ago, I wrote an article called How to Price Your Copywriting, or How Much Should Freelance Copywriters Charge, right? And this is on my old website for copywriting. It still ranks in position 1 or 2, has the featured snippet. I've revisited it once and added some additional FAQs, but that post still delivers 12 years later about 4,000 unique visitors to my site every month. Now, back then, I was just a solo copywriter. I didn't need 4,000 visitors. I could only manage 4 clients a month. So that post actually was so powerful. It helped me set up the Clever Copywriting School, which is my copywriting business, and my Recipe for SEO Success course, because I had so much traffic and people wanting to learn from me that I had to make resources for them. So that one post actually changed my business life. And why did it work? Because it answered an important question. It was thorough and detailed when most people were writing blog posts that were 300 words. It was complete. It was authoritative. It had some personal experience, some statistics, and some facts. So it was Google helpful content 12 years ago. And this is the real point of this. Most of us are already writing helpful content. We don't need to change anything. Okay. This wasn't an attack on the good guys. This was an attack on the people who write dodgy, spun, crappy, AI generated rubbish articles just for the sake of putting them out there. It doesn't impact most of us. And if you've looked at the Twitter feeds and whatever, it's shown that most sites haven't been dramatically affected by the May 2022 update, right? Because we were already playing by the rules. I hope that makes sense.
Great, thank you very much. Sounds so inspiring. Great. So it looks like we've covered all of our questions. And Kate, do you have any points to add or highlight before wrapping up?
No, I would just say if you want to learn more from me, check out my podcast, The Recipe for SEO Success. It's a lot of fun, not boring like most SEO podcasts. You'll find it on Apple and Spotify and Google, whatever Google's thing is called. So thank you so much, Elena, for having me. And thank you to the Serpstat team. I really appreciate being asked to do this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you as well. And friends, what I would like to add, please stay tuned for our future webinars and join our Serpstat chats on Twitter. There is also a place where you can contribute your expertise and you can get answers to your questions on a featured topic from SEO experts. We host the Serpstat chat regularly on our Twitter on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. And join our Google Calendar to make sure you won't miss our future Twitter chats and webinars. In a few moments, the link will appear in the chat. It's here. And this Thursday, we will have a chat dedicated to the future of SEO. And I would be happy if you joined the Serpstat chat on Twitter as well. So, Kate, thank you so much for sharing your Tuesday with us, for sharing your insights and points of view, your knowledge. And guys, thank you for watching, asking questions, and being here with us. This was really fun. And have a great rest of the day, Kate. And guys, and let's meet again at our future online events. See you. Goodbye. Cheers.